With YouTube demonetizing independent media, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater. And okay, listen, I can admit when I'm wrong. All right. I can admit when I'm wrong. I made some predictions about Solo, a Star Wars story that did not come true. I thought it was going to have a bit of an uptick in its second weekend. And now I'm not maybe 100% wrong, but the 65% drop is definitely a thing. But last weekend, just to be on the fair side, Deadpool 2 had a 77% drop between its first weekend to its second weekend. So this did have a bit of a smaller drop. We're talking, 12% less than Deadpool 2. But Deadpool 2 still pulled in more money in its second weekend than Solo did in its second weekend. And then Deadpool 2 in its third weekend still did really, really, really well, considering. So this is one of those things where it's like, I think we all can agree that regardless of how you feel about this particular movie, Memorial Day weekend and following Deadpool was simply the wrong call, right? Just the wrong call. Everything about Solo in terms of its release was the wrong damn call. This should have been pushed to Christmas, and I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that at this point. Now, it says here, Han Solo is still not a box office force, which is, look, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed the movie immensely, so it's unfortunate. But I was wrong in thinking that people were going to come around. The second weekend of Solo, a Star Wars story, which tells the story of the rebellious pilot's youth, made an estimated $29.3 million in North America. That's a drop of roughly 65% from its first three-day total of $84.4 million. And so far, the film has brought in $262.4 million globally. Globally. The first week is like, $250 million, which I think to almost any other movie would be a really good thing. But that's like the rumored production budget on the movie was $250 million. We're not even talking print and advertising. And here's the deal too, is over the course of this past week, Disney was cranking out advertising. It was the highest ad spend all week long with Solo, trying to get more butts in the seats. And it just is not working, which is super weird. Now, Solo's drop this weekend is a major concern since there was virtually no big competition. That is true. But to be fair, and this again goes back to the Deadpool thing, Deadpool 2 pulled in like 24 million or something this weekend. So it is still driving people to the theaters. It's still doing really, really, really well. And that has had an impact on Solo more than I think Disney will probably admit, and even the haters of Solo will want to admit. They think that, and look, I'm not saying you're all wrong and your disdain for the movie, but let's be realistic here. Deadpool 2's numbers are pretty damn good, and they've they've heard it. They've legitimately heard it. Had this movie come out in December, right, or like November or something, when there's not much Disney has for right now, they could have probably pulled in a lot more money. They should have pushed us to December, but they've got Mary Poppins, which is their big winter release, which is why they wanted this done in Memorial Day. All things considered, Solo probably would have done fine releasing in August or an off month, but this was hubris at its finest in terms of Disney and pushing the release, or Lucasfilm on their release. I don't know who made the call. But whoever stuck to it when they adjusted the date for The Last Jedi to move it up 6 months, that person should probably be jettisoned out of an escape pod into the maw, right? Just into the center of the Kessel. Just do that. Now, the film's journey towards the box office, or forward to the box office, is only to get more difficult with big June on the horizon. The next 3 weeks include Ocean's 8, Incredibles 2, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I don't expect Ocean's 8 to do very well. I just want to put that out there. I just don't expect it. The movie looks uninteresting. I guess early reviews are saying that it's pretty good, but at the same time, it's also like nothing that I'm going to run out and go see. Whereas Incredibles 2, which is already looking at getting $140 million opening weekend, and Jurassic World, which is on track for a very similar opening weekend number, is clearly going to end up really owning the month of June. And that's cool because I've been waiting to see both of these movies for years, whereas Ocean's 8 is just one I'm like, who cares? Now, Jeff Bach, a senior box office analyst, told CNN Money earlier this week that he thinks it'll be difficult for the film to break even with its production costs, which reportedly total $250 million, not including marketing and distribution, which is something I've already talked about. It says here, while its box office haul is by no means meager, it's a disappointing performance for an installment of one of America's beloved franchises, or best-loved franchises, which is 100% true. But there are a multitude of factors that went into this, right? There are, look, I'll be honest. Like I said, I mispredicted. I was wrong in my prediction that it would pick up. I think, I love Star Wars. I do. People who know me know this, and I wanted it to do very well. I very much enjoyed the film. Not without its problems, obviously, but I still think it was good, and I think that it just came out at the wrong time. That on top of being so close to The Last Jedi, and that on being top of the fact that people are calling it Star Wars fatigue. It's not Star Wars fatigue. It's people don't like it when creators talk down to their audiences. People don't like it when that happens. They don't like it when that's a thing, and that's kind of happened here with Rian Johnson trolling fans who didn't care for The Last Jedi, and some of the disdain that's happened as a result from other creative entities inside of Lucasfilm. Whereas in regards to Solo, neither Ron Howard, Alden Ehrenreich, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, or anyone else who was involved in the movie ever came out and said a damn thing. So unfortunately, this movie was 100% nailed by a controversy it had nothing to do with, right? And I stand by that. I stand by that theory where it got hit because other people were dicks, and that's kind of what I think happened here. Now, some attribute, Bach does expect the film to earn less than $450 million during its entire run. By comparison, the last two Star Wars raked in more than $1 billion each. Also, those were Christmas releases. Some attribute the film's sluggish performance to Star Wars fatigue. Lucasfilm, which is owned by Disney, released Solo just 5 months after Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Well, we can argue in many cases that may not be true. I mean, look at Batman v Superman, released in March 25th of 2016, and Suicide Squad was the first week of August 2016. You had Wonder Woman releasing June of 2017, Justice League releasing 5 months later in November of 2017. Justice League still pulls in more money than this. So I happen to view that as more of a success. But here's the thing. People look at this in regards to, in regards ultimately to there's it wasn't necessary. It wasn't a necessary thing. And Bach here does agree, where he says prequels starring established characters usually lack drama because fans know they aren't in much danger, which is entirely true. That's a point. That's something to consider. But I also look at it like this. We're in an age right now where these cinematic universes exist. A persistent storyline with persistent characters exist. Rogue One tied in directly with A New Hope. That tied it in, ancillarily to the first movie. It directly connected. So it was like you can watch one and immediately go to the next one, and that's fine. Whereas this one was completely disconnected from everything outside of some elements of nostalgia, and tying in tangentially even to like the Rebels. So there was elements at play here where there wasn't anything that was grounding it in this larger timeline that we knew of going in. If you've seen the movie, it does have a few tie-ins. And that's a big problem with it as well. So when I look at this sort of thing, I don't get, I look at it as just a poor release schedule, not necessarily something that people didn't want. I think even people who have boycotted it will eventually see it and go, it's not that bad. I think on home video, it will do a lot better. But right now it's being hit really hard. There's a lot of factors that went into it, but the vocal minority of fans that were trying to boycott it are claiming this as a victory. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not going to 100% deny them on that one, because I've talked to friends who aren't in this game like I am, but they love Star Wars. And I asked them, oh, what do you think of Solo? This is like weeks ago. And their response back was, I heard it sucks. I heard it's shit. And as a result, their desire to go see the movie was minimal, because they'd already been hearing rumors that it was bad. And that had been going on for months. And that was a narrative that Lucasfilm was never, ever able to repair. But had they pushed the release back to December, it's possible that they would have been able to do that. But anyway, this is a sad story. It's sad to me as a fan. This is not as bad as Ghostbusters, but I should do a video maybe comparing the two situations or discussing the two situations, because they're entirely different, but they do have a few slight overlaps that are worth discussing. That being said, I put it to you. Leave your comments below. My name, of course, is Matt Jarbo. This has been 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, support us on Patreon if you want to help out. I mean, well, support me on Patreon. It's not us. It's just me. And if you haven't already and you want to see more content, you can do so right now.